In this video, we're going to be taking a look at an operating system, Windows 11, that's completely built in React. That's right, I'm not kidding, this is not clickbait. There's an actual project out there that is running Windows 11, or at least a recreation of it, using React, and we're going to look at the project, play around with it a little bit, and also look at the code and see what code is required to actually get Windows 11 running inside of your browser as a React application. But before we get into that, there's one thing that I want to mention very quickly, and that is that if you like the way that I teach in my videos, and you enjoy the content that I provide, I actually do a lot more than the videos in my course, Project React. It's a course where I take you literally from zero to hero, and I help you build a real project using React, using all the best practices and design patterns, and you actually get to see from end to end what it takes to actually make a big project. It's something that I've worked on for months. I really put my heart and soul into it, and all the students that have been on there so far, they're loving it, and they're not regretting it. This was a great decision that they made, and hopefully you can also make it. So if you're interested, I highly recommend it. It's called Project React and it's going to be the first link in the description. Go check it out. I promise you, you will not regret it. Now let's go and look at Windows 11 built completely in React. All right, so let's begin. So over here, we have Windows 11 running on my browser. We're inside of Chrome over here as a React application. As you can see here, this is localhost 3000. This is React that's driving this entire thing. I can come here, I can type something. It doesn't really matter what I type. I can press enter and, oh, I need to type my name as well. So let's do Darius as well. And I can press enter. It's going to load and then it is going to sign me in. And there we go. We have Windows, we have our taskbar over here. We have some icons that we can click, and this is all driven by React. That's cool. Now, this entire application and really this repository is from my newsletter, Import React, which if you don't know, I have a free newsletter. It's called Import React. I honestly love the name. It's all about React. And again, it's completely for free. And you get cool stuff like this, articles, links, tutorials, tips, and tricks about React delivered to your inbox for free every single week. If you want to join, it's going to be linked in the description. And this is one of those links. This is the Windows 11 clone. And as you can see here, we can open folders and it looks and feels just like a real Windows application. Obviously, it's not, it's a clone, it's web-based, but this is still really interesting that they were able to do all of this using just React. So let's see what else we could do, right? So this is the About Me folder over here. So we have a bunch of tabs over here. Can I click into things? Yes, I can. I can also click here to go back. The forward doesn't work, which might be a bug, right? So again, easily fixable. I can press the up arrow. No, I can't. It doesn't do anything. The refresh doesn't do anything. The tabs here don't do anything, right? So some of these things are like features that just look like they're there, but they're not actually there. But I can open things. I can tab into different things. I can close this window like this. I can then open perhaps the calculator, and we have a full-fledged calculator built in React. I can do 5 plus 5 and enter. Hello world. Maybe that's a bug or something. We're going to check the code later to actually see how this runs. But yeah, we have VSCode over here, which I'm pretty sure is not actually VSCode, but rather just a web view, an iframe using like a VSCode editor. This is kind of what it feels like, but it's really cool. It's put as a window. And again, it's draggable. And is it minimizable? It is. And then can I open it again? I can. There we go. Can I maximize it? No, I can't. I can just close it and minimize it. And let me see. If I close it and open it, let's see, we're on side of main here. If I go to lock screen and I close it and then I open it again, we're still on lock screen. I don't think this actually closes anything. I think this just hides things like in behind a state variable or something. Let's see if this is actually the case. So we have this, we have Spotify over here. Ooh, can we play some music? Let's see. Can we play? Yes, this actually works. I don't think you guys get to see and hear the actual sound from my machine, but I can tell you, I press play and something actually happened. So this is pretty cool. They've actually put Spotify, a version of it inside of this OS. And then let's check out Chrome over here, see how they did it, right? So we have Google, we can type something. So then solutions, let's see what pops up. There we go, my website, my YouTube, all of the things that I want to see. Great. Can I type something here? I cannot type in the actual URL, but I can click and go to my website, right? But nothing here updates. I'm pretty sure this is either an image or just some component with some static text, but this doesn't behave like you would used to, right? And then also the back buttons here don't work. I'm really curious why they did not implement the back buttons here when they did so in this actual folder over here. Maybe this is a work in progress, so who knows? But again, or maybe because this is a browser, this is different. I don't know. But still pretty cool, right? We have something that looks like a browser, and this is my actual website, my picture over here, and everything seems to work. And again, I'm pretty sure if I open this up again, yeah, we're on the same page, we have the same state. I don't think this is actually closing anything. So that's cool. That's what this application looks like. So now let's dive into the code. Oh, we also have tic-tac-toe. Can I just play tic-tac-toe? Let's try it. Please change the emoji. Let's put any emoji. Can I play a quick game of tic-tac-toe? Let's see. Can I win? Can I lose? I think I won. I won. Boom. There we go. We even play tic-tac-toe. How cool is that? I'm pretty sure that's actually implemented in the code itself. Let's check it out. Let's now look at the code and see how you can get Windows 11 or something that looks like it running in React. So let's see the repository. So this is the code. If you also want to have access to the repository, it's going to be linked in the description. And once again, if you want more cool stuff like this, check out Import React, the free newsletter. I promise you, you're not going to regret it, and you might learn a thing or two. Right, so here we have the src folder, and let's, I guess, go with app.js and see what app is. So over here, we just have some basic React router stuff. So we're using React Router DOM for the routing, perfectly fine. And this is then using the router and then the routes. And I believe this is using the old way of doing things. So let's see what version they're on. Package.json of React Router. So they're on React Router DOM 6.25. They should have access to the new version to like create an actual router. I don't know if they did this on purpose or not, but again, I've seen better ways of doing this. That's fine. Let's then go, I guess, to main, right? Because this seems to be the main page over here. Let's see what we have. So here we have some constraints ref. I'm not sure what that is for. We have some state for is sleeping, for fade out, and an action type. Again, this is all JavaScript, so we're missing types, so we're not actually sure what these things are. I'm pretty sure this is for the lock screen, because remember initially we were at a lock screen. I had to put my password and then a name to actually sign in. I'm pretty sure that's what that does. And I'm pretty sure that's what this fade out also does. If I go to like where it's actually being used, you have fade out over here, and then opacity 0, 100. Is used related to is sleeping, and I believe, yes, can I go back to the application? Can I shut this off? How do I shut off? I can't, right? I can't go back to sleep in any way, right? That's unfortunate. If I could, or if I'm missing something, let me know. But usually in Windows, I can go to sleep. You've got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me. What is that? Oh my God. Let's not sleep. Let's shut down. Oh, wow. Okay, this is more of a meme than a serious application, but still, it's pretty cool. So yeah, this is what that's for, right? You have the, yeah, we saw the bye-bye here. We saw the audio here, the shutdown audio. If action type, that's what this relates to, shutdown, then we render this code over here. Fair enough. I don't like the way that this is done. We're like rendering code, and then I believe like if is sleeping, right, and action type equals shutdown, then we're going to see the bye-bye thing with the Windows XP photo over here. But then let's see is sleeping. Where is that being set? Set is sleeping. So set is sleeping. And then, that's what I was looking for. So there's this handle fade out click. It first sets fade out to true, setting the state variable. And then after 1 second, using a timeout, it actually sets is sleeping to false and then fade out to false. So for 1 second, we're then going to see after this is clicked over here, we're then going to see is sleeping. We're going to see this action over here, and that's how this works. I don't like the way that this is done. I feel this could have been done a little bit better, especially for the fact that if I just look here, we have fade out, right? This is what's triggering this animation. But the animation duration is hard-coded here as 1000, but it's also hard-coded inside of this set timeout over here, right? So if you ever wanted to change this to say, for example, 1500, right? So 1.5 seconds instead, you would have to remember to go back and also change it over here, because otherwise your applications, your animations rather, are not going to be in sync, right? So again, I would rather that this come from the same place, share the same value, but again, it's cool to see at least how this was done, right? So there's tons to improve here. I'm not going to spend time like commenting on this, but it's cool that I understand how this works. I understand how this is actually showing up the Windows UI. Cool. Then over here, we have a couple of custom components. We have this torch component, which I'm not really sure exactly what it does just by briefly looking at this, but it seems to do something with the cursor size and the mouse position and some sort of animations, right? And then something with the audio. And let's see what it renders. It renders here, show torch, and then motion.div, and then puts all of these styles over here. I'm not entirely sure what this does, what this torch is. And just by looking at this, let's put any name over here. Just by looking at this, Let's see if we can actually get the unsecure password, of course. If you can actually get here, is there a torch or something? Is there an application called torch? Can I search for something? Torch. Can I search? It doesn't search anything. We have paint and we have nothing related to torch. So I'm not really sure what torch does. This more button doesn't do anything. I can't select anything. Fair enough. Let's ignore the torch for now. Let's close the... Why would you close this window? Now this... Oh, what? Oh, that's what the torch does. Wow. I did not know about this. Wow. Okay. So the torch basically just tracks your mouse movements, and then based on its mouse movements, kind of smooths out the animation and just shows a circle over here to actually see what you're hovering on. If I click on things, is it still openable? It's not. But can I click? I can't click anything. Oh, well, that's sad. If I refresh, okay, now it works. Okay, fine. So now we know what the torch is. There we go. So we can actually move on. That's the code for the torch. Cool. What else do we have? We have right click, which is a component. See, this I like. You have right click, and then you have a component here in a file that is named right click, but also exports menu item. I mean, fair enough. Menu item is used in here. Fair enough. That's totally fine. That's nothing wrong with that. We have this right click function, which essentially, I guess, handles the context menu of right clicking. If I go here and I right click, there we go. Yeah, fair enough. That's what this does. View, and then all of these things that happens when I right click. Fair enough. So when you right click, basically, I guess this is this function that's called, it prevents the default behavior, gets your mouse position, gets the width and height of the menu, and then just aligns the menu, and then just shows the menu. And then if we have show context menu, we actually have all of these things here with menu item. And menu item, I don't believe does anything. You can click this. I mean, you can, but it doesn't do anything. There's no functions here except meow. What is meow? Why is there meow? I don't see any meow here. Okay. Oh, option. Oh, if I press option right click, no, that doesn't do anything. I thought that it would. Okay, it doesn't do anything. Which one has? Refresh has handle click. What does handle click do? Set show context menu false. So if I go here to refresh, yeah, it toggles the menu off. There you go. Right? So now we have this right click menu. I like the fact that this is in a separate component, in a separate file. It's reusable. And I also like the fact that they've defined another component inside of this file that is not exported and only used within this file. Again, this is perfectly fine, and I actually encourage this in React applications. So there, let's see what else we have. So we have apps data. What is apps data? Let's see over here. Data, and then apps data. Ooh, we have all of these icons and app data over here. Okay. These are, okay, this is all the data for all of our actual items and different windows and stuff. Fine, we're not going to be concerned with that. I wanted to go here, yes, with the windows. See, that's exactly what I said. There's one state variable for every single window in the application. They all start to false, right? And then as you toggle an application, it just updates the state, says it, shows it visible, and then you see the application. That is why whenever you click an application and then you go somewhere else and you close it and you re-click the application, you still have your state. It's just hiding it using this state variable over here. And let's see what we're calling set windows. We're calling it here inside of toggle window. So we have this toggle window function, takes in a window, and then the input. I'm not entirely sure what this input is. And then we'll set windows. Ooh, this is not, I mean, this is functional, but I don't like it. Sets all of these to false, and then actually sets the window to the opposite of the window state. That's fine, whatever. There could be ways to improve this, but it's a minor thing. And then this input, I'm not sure what this is. If window is equal to explorer and if input is not equal to null, set about me input. Else if window equals app and input is not null, set input. Again, I'm not sure what this does. Let's go here to toggle window. Toggle window, we're not calling this. We're only calling this with the taskbar, toggle window explorer, and then input. So in the taskbar, I believe that's the part at the bottom, right? That's that part. It just disappeared. That's fine. So if I then toggle the explorer with the input, what is the input? Let's see, taskbar, right? Toggle explorer, right? Again, toggle explorer calls it with true, which means that here our input is going to be true. It's going to be a Boolean. See, that's why I don't like not using TypeScript, because I have no idea what this input is. It's saying any here. I had to go and look at the actual component and see that it calls it with true, right? Is it calling it another time? That's the only time it's calling it with true. Okay, so this is a Boolean. So then toggle window equals input over here equals true. Or was it true? Yeah, it was true. Yeah. So then if input is true, so then window is going to be Explorer. Input's not going to be null. We're going to set about me to true. That's going to be the input. Fine. Set about me belongs to the about me state, which is used here, right? So again, this is already confusing. We have state that's like moving around from component to component. Usually you don't want to do this. We have the same toggle explorer function here that does the same thing with the input. It's very easy to get lost. It's very easy to make a mistake and to just update some state when you don't expect it to. And I generally try to avoid things like this. And if your architect, your application's better, usually you don't run into these types of things. So let's see the Explorer over here. Maybe this has some insights. Is Explorer open, toggle Explorer about me. And then we have if about me, we're going to set the icon to home. Otherwise, are we doing anything else with the about me? We're putting here the about me, but we're not using the actual value. And then if about me, we're just putting all of this. So I think that we have the about me over here. So if I go here, nothing happens, right? Or the Explorer, nothing happens here. Okay. I'm not entirely sure, to be honest, exactly how that works. The about me disappeared when I click it here. But if I click it here, it still disappeared. Interesting. See, that's probably, unless I'm mistaken here, unless there's something I'm not seeing, this is a great example of a mistake, right? There's probably a bug in here. Where did the about me go? And how can I toggle it again to have the about me, right? Confusing, and it doesn't work. And it seems like it actually has a bug, right? So ideally you would want to fix that, right? And then what else do we have? We have, if we scroll down, just a bunch of, oh, that's the Explorer. So that's the main code of that. Again, this is very big. This component, my God, how big is this component? This is almost 600 lines of code. And I believe it's one component because this starts on line 5 and goes all the way to line 572. That's a lot of code just for one component. Ideally, follow the single responsibility principle, extract things into custom components, custom hooks, make things a little bit more easily organized, because here I can't understand what is going on. There's a bunch of information over here and it's very easy to make a mistake, for something to go wrong. And this can be avoided again if you just architect things differently. And stuff like this, like handle div click and then passing 0 over here. Like, why are we passing 0? What does the 0 represent, right? This is very confusing. And again, this is all like div number, set expanding div. Okay, I guess this is based on the div, but we're only calling it like 3 times. So like, can we ever call this with 1, with like 5, right? It's unclear, it's ambiguous. And if I was to work in this, I would not like the experience of working in this project, honestly. That's my own personal preference, right? And then we have here recycle bin calculator. This is probably all of the same, right? So this is the calculator component, right? As I thought, it actually does its own calculation over here, although with a little bit more logic. We're evaluating the display, and then we're actually setting the click count. And based on the click count, we're displaying hello world. I'm not sure why we would want to do that. Again, this is probably a fun project, so not a lot of seriousness went into it, which is totally fine. But yeah, this is the calculator component, and the rest of the application is pretty much more of the same, right? So at this point, I kind of feel satisfied in that we got, I think, what we could out of the code, and we saw what we could. And if we want to go deeper in this, it would just be a little bit more frustration a bit, just because we have to like struggle a bit to understand what this code is doing, especially with JavaScript. So I'm just going to stop it here. But this is still a very interesting example of something that you can do in React that, again, is not typical, right? Like, how often do you see like an actual operating system, or to be fair, something that looks like one that tries to emulate it, building it using React? And this is pure React, no other like serious dependencies or frameworks. This is just vanilla React and JavaScript. And this is cool. I encourage these types of behaviors. I encourage you guys to like start building cool ideas like this, because who knows, maybe you actually build something that's revolutionary, that's innovative, and you turn this into an actual business, or even just an open source library that all of us other developers can use and also benefit from, right? So this is really cool. I highly encourage experimentation, but I just encourage that you do it following design patterns, following the things that I try to teach on my channel, because that is going to be the best way for yourself really to become a better React developer, which if you're watching this video and my channel, I genuinely hope that that's what you're trying to do. And actually, as a challenge, if you're interested in this project, what you should do is you should take the repository. It's going to be linked in the description, and just play around with this. Run it locally on your machine and try to improve things and see if you can actually make things better, right? You have to take this code that's existing already, that's a little bit messy, make things better, and you're going to learn a lot doing it in the process. And if you need to, use my videos, because I talk about these things a lot in a lot of my videos. Use my videos to help you understand the best practices and design principles to actually make this code a little bit better. That's how you become a better React developer, right? So again, I highly recommend that you experiment with different things, that you play around with code, try to tinker around, try to make things a little bit better, because it is going to make you a better developer. And if you also want a source of repositories like this, of really cool articles besides my channel, because my channel is of course a great source for that, also check out Import React, the free newsletter that I have, because you get things like this every single week completely for free in your inbox that you can just read and become a better developer, right? So that's a no-brainer. It's going to be linked in the description. It's Import React. Trust me, once again, I say this a lot. I know, I'm aware, but you're not going to regret it. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more videos just like this one, make sure to leave this video a big thumbs up. You can also click here to subscribe, or you can click here to watch a different video of mine that YouTube seems to think that you're really going to enjoy. And with that being said, my name has been Darius Kozlin. This is Kozlin Solutions. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Ciao, ciao.